Hello everybody, this is the Crinkly Onion, and welcome back to the channel. Today I will be showcasing the second level that I have made in Questmaster, Deepstone Depths. So this is actually, funny thing, I actually initially named this level Magma Mineshaft, but about a couple hours before I posted this level, somebody else posted the level with the exact same name, so I had to change it. So I kind of wanted to have a bit more of a story in this dungeon than the last one. So I have a bunch of these little tattles throughout the level that will say just a little bit of flavor dialogue and stuff just to give it the story. It's pretty simple, just monsters coming up from a chasm and taking over the mine shaft, but you know, it's a lot more than what I had before. But the entire reason I made this level was because I found the mine cart, and I wanted to make a whole level based on that, as well as bounce pads, which was another feature that was showcased right next to the mine cart, which I'm still reviewing. See right there, I just kind of used them both together. And funny thing is, that's actually the entire reason I bought them, just because I saw the mine cart. And of course, since it's a volcanic mine shaft, I had to include the fire bats and the skeletons, and I just included the turtles as well, just because I needed a third enemy. I didn't want to use any enemies from the first dungeon that I made. I actually really like that puzzle. I feel like it's pretty simple, introduces you to the levers, and it doesn't get too boring. And it's still kind of interesting when you come back later on for your seat searching for extra heartbeats and secrets. And in this room, I kind of just evolved the little spike roller things a bit, and also introduce you to the switches, which you have to press to slash to open the gate. And then you get a map right here. I don't think I'm going to end up looking at it at all, really, but it's pretty big. So here I just kind of wanted to have a big dramatic entrance to the main part of the dungeon. And this is just, I saw the bridges, and I knew I had to make some big section where you're walking under bridges and going across this big kind of natural landscape. I just thought the bridges were really cool for some reason, so I decided to roll with that. Have a whole section where you just go through this gigantic room, press all the switches to open the door. Just get a little more exploration in there. This room is more linear, it's just a little arena to really test your fighting skills. This was the last room that I designed. This was the last switch that I designed. And I wanted to have something shown every little mechanic used in the level. This section might drag on just a little bit, but I haven't gotten bored playing it, so I don't think anybody else would either. So you can actually see little future bits of the level as you're walking over the bridges, which is exactly why I wanted to include the bridges so much. You can see other parts of the level that you can't really reach yet. And see, this is the door that you have to hit all switches for. The bounce pads, they were a little bit weird, especially this part right here, because you'd actually have to stop and readjust yourself, or else you just immediately fall into the lava. And that takes a bit of getting used to, but if you played the game a bit, then you kind of know what you're doing there. Just have to get used to that. Not really much danger for this section. You can't actually take damage to those fire bats. Your minecart kind of goes and takes them out instead. But you still have to be kind of paying attention for the crystal, and it's just kind of a cool moment, just going through this little tunnel. And so right here, this is a little story moment that I decided to include. The monsters have been coming out of this chasm to take over the mine shaft, so you have to jump down there in order to get to them. And as you can see, it's a bit of a fall. Don't really know how they got up in the first place, but you know, don't think about that. And so here you get the feather. I saw the feather and I just knew I had to include it in the level. So, in the last dungeon I made it to where you had to collect all these coins throughout the dungeon, so more exploration. This dungeon I wanted to focus a little more on fighting, so I made it to where you have to defeat all the monsters. Not really sure what I'm going to do for the next dungeon. For the heart piece, might do something completely different. Might do coins again. Actually, probably going to do something with the next dungeon is probably going to be themed around the Thunderbolt Bastion, which just came out at the time of recording this video. But I really like this puzzle. Kind of takes the minecart puzzle at the very beginning of the dungeon and picks it up a notch. It's a bunch of extra steps in there. I didn't actually use the big key last time, so I wanted to include that as well. And if you don't know what you're doing, this can probably take a long time to figure out, but if you try and take the big key, and if you don't hit that switch, you get knocked back. So if you try and take the big key where you can't move, you're just gonna end up going back right where you started. So you have to throw it over, which I think was some pretty creative design on my part. Took a bit of thinking there. So now it's a very easy way to the end. So down there is the boss room, but there are still a couple things we have left to do before we are ready to face him. See, we still don't have all the secrets. And this switch brings us back to this spot, back to the beginning, but now your minecart's in a different spot, so you can easily get back to where you were. Makes it where you don't really have to do all the rest of the puzzle. I mean, you still have to do a bit, but it's a little bit easier. So actually, the dungeon's like twice as long if you want to go for the heart pieces, because you basically just have to do a full loop again. But you have to climb your way back up, and honestly, I don't really know how I feel about that. I really like this segment. These long hallways to get up to the very back top. But I'm not sure about how I feel about going through the rest of the dungeon, especially if you killed all the enemies on your way to the bottom floor. So that's just something I'm gonna have to think about for the next time I design a dungeon, see if I really want to include that again. In fact, some of these rooms probably should have just been in the required sections of the dungeon, because I use a lot of platforming level design that I didn't really include in required sections, and maybe it would have been more interesting if I had made these mandatory. time it was just, that was the last enemy in the entire dungeon that I just killed. So, won't be seeing too much more combat until the very end. Maybe I should have made it to where opening that chest spawns more enemies throughout the entire dungeon for you to fight. Just to make things a little bit more interesting on the return journey. But I don't know how people playing the level would feel knowing that all their progress was just wasted. And if they didn't kill any enemies, then it's just gonna be twice as hard. So it's kind of hard to plan for that kind of stuff. Yeah, you can see, probably shouldn't have put that skull there, because that just knocked out the lava. I actually really like this room. This puzzle was a lot harder first time, and you can still brute force it, but you have to kind of figure out how this works. And as you can see, it's how many rails are around it. Not too hard, but I feel like it's just enough to get people thinking. And then you have to kind of repeat the room from previously, but you can't see the rails anymore. I think I did pretty well with this puzzle. I'm not really a good puzzle designer, but that looks good. Just have to do that puzzle again. Maybe I should. No, there's not really much to get around that. And I don't want to make the path back just completely easy. But as you can see, that having the feather kind of trivializes the first floor. And just kind of jump over everything and then walk right past everything else. And this was one of the first little feather-required areas that I designed. But I did end up revising a lot about it as I kept playtesting, because it just ended up being way harder than anything else that I had designed. And as you can see, the treasure chest is now here. And you get the full heart crystal. And now that checkpoint is refreshable, so you can save all that progress. It used to not be refreshable, which made the entire level very stressful. So now we are ready to fight the final boss of the dungeon. And as you can see, it's very easy to reset the puzzle to get back to where you were. I like how it starts pretty simple, and it slowly gets more difficult over time. I didn't want to make this just another arena, so there's a boss, but I wanted to start it off with just a couple enemies. can see now, there's a big stone guy, and I think he works really well with these spike rollers, because he can sometimes take damage on the spike rollers, which is great for when your entire goal is just focusing on not getting hit, instead of being able to just purely focus on trying to hit him. So it's more of just a game of trying to stay alive longer than he can, and just every once in a while going in for a strike. And that's the whole level.